Hello there. Welcome to the Male Reading Corner. Today I have written a very intriguing female character that I wanted to share with you all. Her name was Valkyria. Her impressive stature only matched by the size of her madonkamaherkers. She would very impressively smash the heads of her enemies between her honkamadorkers. She breastily boobled herself to the front lines, her hips swinging just as confidently as her mahonkadorkers until she reached her mortal enemy smack in the skull in a throbbingly confident fashion from both sides using the mahonkamadarkers, and they died with a scream. Ah, not the boobs! That's so bad. Well, good evening, laddies, lasses, and lassos, and welcome to the click you smell absolutely astounding today. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Before you are traumatized, I just want to give you a disclaimer that the character in the beginning was completely made up. That book doesn't exist. Okay, now to re-traumatize you, there are texts out there that are just as bad or even worse, and that is why today we are looking into r/MenWritingWomen, and I do hope that you are here for it. Enjoy. I feel like I should become a male author, so I can just write about characters boobily breasting their way through life. I think that's a vibe. In the middle of the ocean, there was a girl who lived upon a rock. This was not an ocean like the one you have imagined, nor the rock like the one you have imagined. The girl, however, might be as you imagined, assuming you imagined her as thoughtful, soft-spoken, and overly fond of collecting cups. Men often describe the girl as having hair the color of wheat. Others call it the color of caramel, or occasionally the color of honey. The girl wondered why men so often used food to describe women's features. There was a hunger to such men that was best avoided. Or maybe, hear me out here, maybe they just really enjoy munching hair. Maybe this has nothing to do with the woman, they just want a little bit of fiber. She folded her arms under her breasts. Robert Jordan. She folded her arms! What happened to just folding her arms? Why does everything happen in the reference to boobs? I need to write a book that is just a parody of this kind of stuff, but the center of attention is something completely random, like her nose or something. She folded her arms roughly 3 decimeters under her nosing organ. Then she walked around, turning her nose accordingly and walking in the direction that the nose was pointing. That'd be so good. I think you would be really sick of the meme after like 5 sentences. But it's worth it. How to write realistic women. The secret formula every male author needs to sell more books and make more fans. Jackson Dean. Oh, wait. That's so ironic. It's a book about writing women. Written by a man. This is like the entire subreddit. I love this. Okay, to be fair, maybe the book is actually good. I haven't read it myself. Maybe it's actually a good book. It's just like a bit of an ironic cover in reference to like this theme we're reviewing here today. Reading about a strong female protagonist, and then the author starts describing her body in uncomfortably thorough detail. Straight white man. The thing is that describing features and stuff can be perfectly reasonable to get a picture of your character and dynamics, and also like intimacy and attraction is also perfectly fine in books. It just becomes a bit weird when it's not the point of it at all. It's like those scenes when there's a murder victim and the police comes in and be like, oh yeah, she's curvy, alright, what a shame she died. It's like, what? Time and place, man, holy shit. Or maybe the purpose is to just make like a crappy cop character. In that case, you know, perfectly valid. I thought this was a nice author's note by Brent Weeks in the Blood Mirror. Author's note. Vaginismus, as suffered by tisses, is a real gynecological condition that can cause painful intercourse or the inability to experience intercourse at all due to involuntary muscle spasms. It is also little understood and too often surrounded by shame, jokes, or disbelief. One woman I know confessed to her female gynecologist that she had been unable to consummate her marriage. The doctor told her it was her own fault for being a virgin, and it wouldn't have been a problem if she'd been naughtily active earlier, and offered no treatment suggestions other than maybe get really drunk. Oh my... That's the doctor's suggestion? Hey doc, I have this serious problem with intimacy. It's not that I don't want to do it, it's just incredibly painful to the point I can't. Have you tried getting wasted? Where's like the ethics in this, man? Holy shit. Another woman had her marriage end over this. Among my early readers, there was a woman who couldn't believe that this was a real condition, and not some weird plot device. A woman who can't have naughties? What's that a metaphor for? That ignorance, that secret grief, and that disbelief prompted this note. Awkward though I feel to write it. If a 21st century doctor specializing in women's health could be unaware of this condition, I figured a couple of early 17th century teens would have been even more baffled, and hurt and angry and ashamed and afraid. The great news is that vaginismus is very, very treatable. So if you or someone you love is affected by this, it's not a joke, it's not something to be ashamed of, it's not just your issue or her problem to fix. It's a relationship hurdle that you can overcome together. Get help, start with a web search, and talk to a doctor. That is so beautiful. This is amazingly wholesome. I love that this made it to the subreddit. That is so good. And amazing kudos to the author. Amazing kudos to Brent Weeks for this. That is such an amazing awareness note to have in your book about this kind of stuff. Hell yes. How to write a female character. Give her complex emotions, vulnerability, and emotional depth are important characteristics for good characters of any gender. Give her multiple kinds of strengths. Give her female allies. Give her more than her looks. Just write her! Like you would write her more than main characters! Honestly, I think both are probably valid depending on like how complex you want it to be. I remember hearing about that kind of tip at some point. It was like someone who was really nervous to talk to women or on dating apps and that kind of stuff. And I remember a tip they got was something along the lines of just pretend it's another dude you're talking to. Because just making friendly conversation for the sake of conversation can really help you overcome that hurdle. You know, women aren't some kind of thing you need to game or play. They are people, just like you, believe it or not. And reading subreddits like this makes me believe that that is, an opinion that is surprisingly uncommon in certain instances. But I suppose it applies in this way as well. If you struggle specifically with like female characters, just write them like you would write a male character, and then just make them a woman, and bada bing, bada boom. Nobody is objective about R-wording. It is a horror and a titillation and a mystery all at once. Is it though? Women are terrified of being R-worded, but somewhere in the back of every womb there is one rebellious nerve that tingles with curiosity whenever the word is mentioned. Is it though? Like really? Are you sure? Source, I made that the fuck up? Okay, to spin a little bit further on this kind of logic, not this in particular because this is just an awful line of logic to have, but in general, fantasy and reality are not the same thing. For example, I love jumping on 7 Days to Die and smack some zombies. Does that mean I would really want to live in a zombie apocalypse? Not really. I would probably really miss my shower after about 3 days. I would miss not having food standards and the risk of starving. I would miss having antibiotics when I get bitten by some rabid zombie. You know, you name it. I don't think every teenager playing Call of Duty would be interested in like traveling to a war zone and actually engaging in a firefight. There is a difference between game, fun, and fantasy versus reality. And this example is just incredibly gross in like conflating the two. Like, yikes, man. Don't write this in your book. Also, like, playing with fantasy shouldn't be something that should be equated to justifications in real life or trying to like sugarcoat a really serious issue. You know, there are things in kink that deal with, for example, power dynamics and that kind of stuff. And that is perfectly fine if both people are consenting and are in on it. But this ain't it, fam. What the shit? I didn't think it was possible to write a book as awful as this. I literally didn't think humans were capable of such racist, sexist poppycock. Quote by Tahani, best-selling author of Get Out of Spotlight. Okay, quotes. Chip gazed at the sexy outline of the murder victim on the floor. What a waste of curves, he growled. She's sitting on the lap of angels now. He checked his Rolex watch, which was real. It was almost golf o'clock, so the case would have to wait. Good thing he had already solved it. Oh my god, this is like if you take mystery and agent novels that are really cheesy from like the 60s, but just put it on absolute crack. Is this actually real? This is not satire. This is real. Oh my god. This is one of those times, if I just read this out of context, I would not be able to tell if this is satire or not. Oh my god. I wish I had a woman who breasted boobily. Don't we all? Don't we all? I dickly penised my way down the stairs, the balls silently clapping against the side of my pantaloons as I wobbled downstairs. I confidently embraced the shape of my body as my ballsack shriveled in nervousness as I saw the very dominant woman waiting for me at the door. I could probably do this. I could probably become an author. You know, the bar's pretty low. 69% liked this film. Frank Spivey is a detective who rescues a strange young girl with a horribly disfigured face and lusciously ripe body from a deranged killer. That's like the main focus, not like the plot or the... No, it's just like, I rescue this person with voluptuous, curvy juice, enticing, really... Take a deep breath. Take several breaths. You know, fellow alpha male bros, you know when she breaks up with you, women are actually in the wrong, because here is the logic behind it. Her revenge, you see, 3 dudes partying, alcohol, what a salute. Here is my revenge, books, graphs, flexing my biceps, and buying a brain in a bottle. And that's how I made money, baby. This is just men emojiing women. We have reached a point of media literacy where men don't only write about women, they emoji about women. And they also do it wrong. Her revenge, living life. My revenge, a book. Bruh. His actual revenge, posting cringe on social media. Sadly, this is from one of those how to be a better manly man accounts, so some of these people following them will actually agree, shaking my head. As someone who works with YouTube and online platforms and stuff, you sometimes feel that you get way too far down a rabbit hole of argumentation, right? I feel a lot of people online and creators and everything kind of trickle down this rabbit hole every once in a while, and sometimes it's really important to take a step back and just touch grass and realize that arguments online sometimes just go in completely made up directions. Like, this doesn't have any bearings on reality, like, holy shit. Love me, she moaned lustily. Ward, love me now! He jumped out of his pajama pants so acrobatically it was like a stunt from Cirque du Soleil. Nailed that pronunciation, but when he went to remove her slip, she said, leave it! Which turned him on even more. He buried his face into Hannah's like a wanderer who found water in a desert. She tasted like a hot biscuit flavored with pee. What? She grabbed his scruff and pulled his face to hers. They kissed, and she took his it felt as thick as a Louisville slugger, and guided him in. When he exploded, and he exploded quickly, he felt as if his heart had liquefied and then been shot out of him through her and her and up over her and some down to her heart. No. This reads as if a Tumblr fanfic just used way too many fancy words. You know? Why? Please, why? Wrinkler by Giles Corran. And he hard in and his jumped around and rattled on her teeth, and he blacked out, and she took his out of her mouth and lifted herself from his face and whipped the pillow away, and he gasped and gugged at the air, and he so hard that out of her hand, and a shot of it hit him straight in the eye and stung like nothing it ever had in there. And he yelled with the pain, but the yell could have been anything. And as she grabbed his, which was leaping around like a shower dropped in an empty bath, she scratched his back deeply with the nails of both hands, and he, like Zorro. There are 2 dots in this entire thing, and they are all condensed at the very, very end. Brefam.
Run-on sentences, what is that? I haven't studied grammar since I was a wee little boy, and even I know to not write like this. What the hell?
Alexa, please read me a paragraph that could have been only written by a man. Alexa.
For others, and in primitive societies, those people still exist. Childbirth is so simple, with no pain at all. On the contrary, you will be surprised. The greatest ecstasy happens to the woman in childbirth. Not pain, not agony at all, but the greatest ecstasy. No zenith of experience is so satisfying and so tremendous as the zenith of experience that happens to the woman when she gives birth to a child naturally.
My source for this piece of literature, you ask? Well, I sat on the floor in a cold, dark shower, crying, and then it came to me in a vision.
Her bobs jiggled neurodivergently.
Valid writing. Absolutely valid writing.
She femailed femininely across the room, her breast breasting breastily. Her jeans were tighter than my butthole.
Which Ed Sheeran song is this? Wait, is my guitar in tune? Hold on.
She femailed femininely across the room, her breast breasting breastily. Her jeans were tighter than my asshole. Oh, it was
like the heart beats underneath the boob or something like that.
the heart beats underneath her boob.
There we go, nailed it, hell yeah. Spotify, here I come. She was such a strong female woman with nice heavy bobs. You see, at least it's consistent, right? At least the writing is very consistent. In just one simple stroke of his tip becoming firm, she aligned them so perfectly that his eyes snapped open wide and his head lifted. He felt a tightness right around the head. Ew! Amelia cried beneath him, but it was so high-pitched that he knew it was both in pleasure and surprise. Rurik paused. I pierced her womb! Should probably see a doctor about that, fam. Holy no. Like the Venn diagram overlap between Men Writing Women and Bad Women's Anatomy is just such a beautiful, it's just like one circle. Oh, like a little circle around my achy-wakey heart, and the regret I have reading this. Her body tensed and quivered as she felt wave after wave surge through it. I probably should have told her about the new electric fence. That is so good. I love this. Hell yes, surprise satire.
People always ask me why I have this hole right here. They think I'm showing off or just being lewd. But the first time I made this costume, I wanted to have a symbol like you. I couldn't think of anything. I thought eventually I would figure it out and close the hole, but I haven't. So instead I walk around with my boobs.
I'ma be honest, fam, if I'm figuring out like a patch to put on a piece of clothing or something, I would probably just leave it like a piece of blank clothing. I wouldn't like cut out the hole where I'm thinking of maybe putting a stamp. You know, this just doesn't make sense. I love Amanda Connor's Power Girl, but this is one of the worst ideas out there. If you want to put her in a costume that shows off her bazongs, just have her be proud of her bazongs. Own it in the character. Don't try to make nautilization into justification for angst. Well, they have done that too. There are like 20 different reasons she has said before. Okay, so it's a little bit all over the place, isn't it? I mean, to be fair, personally, I don't care that much about superheroes. I don't think they are meant to be particularly representative of an average person. I mean, look at the dude superheroes too. Like, they have like a gazillion pack in a tight outfit and shoulders that are about this broad. You know, it's fine. It's unrealistic. They're supposed to be superhumans. You know, it's okay. But it becomes a little bit cringe when it tries to be something it's not.
You are trespassing,
she said, waver in her voice. Riddle mashed the pistol's barrel hard into her stomach. He liked the way it made her face turn down. He felt a stirring beneath his belt, where nothing had stirred for years. Romantic. Not for her, anyway. Not since the night he'd stumble out of them woods. One eye less. You and me. Oh, he breathed. Okay. There we go. He breathed the popping sweat. We have business, little sister. She swallowed. I declare, he said, hear that M-word talk. You're by a god, Amazon. The pistol climbed beneath her shirt, inching breastward. That is like the wildest word for a direction I have read at least today. Okay, at least today.
How do you like these quarters, eh? The Samarians spared no effort in honoring their queen. But sitting on that planet all those months while I learned to use my given powers, this ship has gotten dusty. Lick it clean! Ta'at's right, Green Lantern. And if I let you live for long enough for your hair to grow out, I will teach you how to dry my floors with those ratty locks. But before you continue, you can be the first to meet the fate I swore for all Green Lanterns months ago. Kiss my boot until I tell you to stop.
This is just some poorly disguised kinks right here, man. What the hell? I always find it so interesting, and these examples are like all over media. You see this in movies, for example, when people do self-inserts, like do weird things with hot actresses, or stuff like this. It's just so poorly disguised. I wonder what they were thinking. Like, do you think no one is gonna see through this? Or maybe they just don't care. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna shame someone for their kinkiness. You know, that's perfectly fine if everyone is in on it. Do what makes you happy. But writing it as like a comic book? I don't know, man. I don't know.
She was like one of the boys, but breedable and docile.
Ah, yes, Steve, you're so breedable and docile. Oh, yes, indeed, Click, you always know how to compliment me. Oh, yes, indeed, Steve, look at you. Docile. Like a cow. She was docile like a cow munching grass, but oh my, was she hotter than your average moo-moo. You see, I can do this too. Lana Lee was on a bar stool, her legs crossed in tan suede trousers, her muscular buttocks pinning the stool to the floor and commanding it to support her in perfectly vertical form. When she moved slightly, the great muscles of her nether cheeks rippled to life to prevent the stool from leaning and tottering even an inch. The muscles rippled around the cushion of the stool and grabbed it. What, like this? That's some wild anatomy. Holding it erect. And of course that choice of wording. Are we really talking about a bar stool here? Long years of practice and usage has made her rump an unusually versatile and dexterous thing. Her body had always amazed her. She had received it free of charge, yet she had never bought anything that had helped her as much as that body had. At these rare moments when Lana Lee grew sentimental or even religious, she thanked God for his goodness in forming a body that was also a friend. She repaid the gift by giving it magnificent... Okay, yeah, that's quite enough.
Thank you so much, God, for giving me this thick ass,
she proclaimed as she crushed the bar stool between her cheeks. The bartender leapt up from behind the bar and exclaimed, "What? Are you gonna pay for that?" She slowly turned around, clapping her cheeks. Slowly, in a threatening manner, the bartender awkwardly turned away and apologized for his, for ever questioning the goddess of the cheeks.
It's true. I don't look like any of the other women in my family. They're all dainty, petite blondes, and I am a tall brunette with a sort of ass that comes from spending years working on your lower body straight. Technically, I suppose my tits are proportional, but since I'm bigger, so are they.
I have never met a person, man or woman, that talks to themselves in this way. Oh my God. Yeah, you know, in my family, I come from a line of men with small balls, but my balls are humongous. Tumor used to... No, they're just huge. Properties he couldn't afford. He would often walk around the gym changing rooms naked for longer than necessary, showing off his toned physique that he was confident other men would envy. And when he ran, he purposefully wore no underwear, so passers-by could see his personal package in his shorts bouncing from side to side. His top-of-the-range Nikes pounded along the busy London pavements and took him towards the greenery of Hyde Park. What beginning of a gay adult film is this? Oh my God, that's literally it though. If you take MenWritingWomen and you just do some gender swapping, it's literally the intro of like an adult film. Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God, that's so funny. Her perfume hung about her as heavily as her jewels. Her boobs surged against her dress like sea threatening to swamp the gunwales of a boat. I just pictured like the wildest thing. It's like a fever dream, but the ocean was made out of just boobs. And they're just swallowing the boat like, no! Like a fever dream with an ocean made of flesh. That sounds really horrifying. Ooh, we're back for more kink inserts.
And so, now we follow them and wait. There is no danger of them spotting us with my Xamaron cloaking device.
I must admit, it's gone even more smoothly than I could have hoped.
That's because you don't know the satisfaction of physically following through on your schemes. My Xamarons knew of the value of the bodies. All women do, and they were the ultimate women, and they taught me.
What are you doing, Star Sapphire?
I am demonstrating the value of the female body, Hector. Do you remember when you had a usable male body? When you fantasized about winning Carol fairies to your side? This is what you would have won, but this is what you can never win now.
Don't do that. Stop that. Oh, she's just like flashing right in front of him, and he can't do anything about it. Man, this doesn't have very nice consenty vibes, does it?
You see now why it was inevitable that Hale Jordan would succumb to wiles presenting in the form of Aresia. Why all men must always succumb to the power of women. All men, including you.
What kind of comic is this, fam? Who's the target audience for this?
I would try to console her. How's your dad? I asked with feigned concern. Any news from him?
I don't know. She giggled in a way that seemed to spill from her jiggling boobs.
She laughed with her bobs. Ah yes, the kind of giggles that spill from your honkers. Of course the girl is just turned 16 as well. Hospital by Hand Song? No way. No. Fam, no.
I reclined on Maxwell's couch, my hands behind my head as he unbuttoned my shirt, unhooked my new enormous front hook bra, and opened both wide. He kissed my tummy. He kissed up my body. Suddenly my left honker flexed and punched him in the face.
Ah yes, it's due to the boob bones. You know, you think that boobs can't flex and bend and stuff like that? Boob bones are very much like pufferfish. This is accurate women's anatomy.
He was surprised. He looked at me suspiciously. I was surprised myself. I studied my left honker. It lay there gently bobbing like a Japanese glass float on a quiet sea. Innocent. Waiting. Maxwell stared at my face. Then he shook his head. He eyed my boobs. Slowly he leaned closer. His lips drew back in a pucker. I waited, tingling, for them to flutter on my abdomen again. No such luck. Both honkers surged up and gave him a double whammy. Ba-pow! It took me an hour to wake him up. Once I got him conscious, he told me to get out, and take my unnatural equipment with me.
Oh, like you would just leave your honkers laying around? They do seem to be quite dangerous weaponry, though.
I collected my purse and coat, and with a last look at him as he lay there on the floor by the couch, I left. In the elevator, my bobs punched a man who was smoking a cigar. He coughed, choked, and called me unladylike. A woman told me I had done the right thing. Is this like the origin story of some kind of superhero thing? Oh my god.
Oh, this can be the character arc for like a boxing champion. Their secret move is to flex their honker muscle and just pa-pow! Man, how does this work? Like, how did the author picture this would actually work? I hope this is a parody, right? It's like a parody, right? Yet the average woman was firmly convinced, it seemed, that she could not make a man recognize her worth unless every time she opened her legs, she did so as if it were a scene in a soap opera. But this very pathetic and innocent illusion in fact made women the victims of a one-sided spiritual R-wording.
Why don't you even touch grass? Touch some fucking grass!
Disenchantment. Although it's mostly written by men, I think that it has really great female characters. Actually, I really like Disenchantment. Like, the one problem, of course, is that all the characters are very comedic, so it's kind of difficult sometimes to feel like the story is naturally driven by the characters because they're all just kind of frolicking around, you know? But in terms of personalities and good, like, gendered characters, I think it did a pretty good job. I actually liked it. All of this without seeing the latest season. I lost access to Netflix. It's from The Simpsons creator, definitely starting off on a good foot. I never saw much annoying or wrong with her, and the characters in general, and she's got a solid arc under her. Dagmar and Una walk a bit of a fine line, but they've never made me cringe. And I think with Dagmar, it's also kind of satire. It's like, I'm gonna be the evil supervillain woman, and like dresses up in like overtly, you know, nautilized outfits and that kind of stuff as like a joke, you know, playing in on it, like it's like a meta irony sort of thing. Bean definitely misses a lot of character flaws and annoyances that plague other characters, and she does infinitely better than the women in the future of her universe. Futurama women run a gambit from all right to why is Leela written like that. Honestly, her character changes in the newest season are so out of the blue. The ending was actually better than I expected, complete with a little wrap-up montage at the end. I like the female characters in Disenchantment. They feel like real women. They grow and develop to their situations, even if the darker shit is never taken as seriously as in a normal world. Yeah, I agree. I think they did a really good job with it. I actually enjoyed the series. It was good. When I enter the house, someone else is also there, and I see once that it is his wife. She carries herself upright, though her shoulders are frail. There is something pathetic about a woman's neck and shoulders. They are childlike in some way. One can never really bring oneself to be harsh with them. I don't mean the fat ones, of course. The ones with necks like hams.
What kind of... What?
To be fair, sometimes in literature, right, you need to write asshole characters to, like, portray assholes and make, like, an accurate world image, right? Writing about problematic things doesn't make the text itself problematic. Although in this case, I have no idea what this is about. It's such a wild comparison. Oh my god. Men writing women like, her name is Molly Stead and she has a dark childhood secret, which is why she dresses with her weather balloon bobs almost completely exposed and bounce femininely when she prances to the ladies' room. I really want this female character to be curvy. How do I excuse this while still being deep? I know, she's curvy because of trauma. Genius! Everyone in my family has killed someone. I will hold it here to mention that I know some male authors are incapable of having a woman throw up without it being a cue to a pregnancy. These same authors seem to think nausea is the only indication of childbearing. Not to mention their belief that vomit shoots out of the woman's mouth within hours of plot-convenient fertilization. By some authors, I mean male ones. Far be it from me to tell you which clues to pay close attention to, but Sophia's not pregnant, okay? She's allowed to throw up of her own volition. Alright, Crawford said to Andy and me.
That is so funny.
That is so funny. So the author wrote in, like, an insert of a men-writing-woman person. That is so funny. I love that. Oh my god, what a sneaky, like, little jab that also fits with the story. How smooth. They mingled with tourists and took the single-track railway to the Darling Harbour, got off at harbour side and found an outside table with a view of the quays. A pair of long legs stalked past on silhouettos. It was Gollum. He had found his way into the women's locker room. I'll sit in the hotel room, he said, and watch Buster Friendly on TV. His guest for the last 3 days had been Amanda Werner. I like her. I could watch her the rest of my life. She has boobs that smile. He hung up then and sat for a time, his mind vacant. That's how you finish the conversation. Yeah, I could watch her forever. Her boobs smile. I'm a normal functioning human. The air. My room looks down over the walled garden. It's a dark room with high Gothic windows, deep crimson walls, a massive fireplace, and ancient velvet canopies around the bed. It was the room my mother slept in when she first came to stay in this house. My father kidnapped her, snatched her right off the street, then locked her up in this house for months. Slowly, bit by bit, without realizing or wanting it, he fell in love with her, and she fell in love with him. Simultaneous Stockholm Syndrome.
How wholesome. Wow.
My name is Wicker Basket and I'm the chosen one. I'm very plain but also gorgeous. I'm in love with two nearly identical white dudes. Which one will I choose? I am so clumsy. Accept all forms of combat. Also, I am a vampire.
It's like the ultimate crossover of men writing women and r/not like other girls. Oh my god, it's like men writing women. They're like very sexualized attempt at writing a quirky girl. Holy is that the science behind this? Oh my god! Morally grey male characters. His heart-wrenching tragic past, his deep brooding, his complex contrast of heroic and villain qualities, his delightful snarky attitude, his righteous vengeance on those who have wronged him, his talents and badassery. Morally grey female characters, her corny sob-story, her bothersome whining, her incoherent characterization, her insufferable smugness, her overreaction and uncalled-for cruelty, her merry Sue-ness.
One is not like the other.
Chapter 2. Naked. Zoe peeled an orange. Very important. She had a broad child face, innocent blue eyes, a narrow waist and small boobs with nips as tiny as vaccination marks. Her pubic hair was shaved to a narrow blonde stripe for gymnastics. What the f? Her legs were muscular and her voice was high and strong.
Experts tell us that an eventually will be the killer to the Soviets.
That's how I imitate the high and strong voice. Congratulations. I guess the whole scene was prefaced by naked because it gave an excuse to like describe this character's pubic hair while peeling an orange. How relevant. Male writers writing female characters. Cassandra woke up to the rays of the sun streaming through the slats of her blinds, cascading over her naked chest. She stretched, her boobs lifting with her arms as she greeted the sun. She rolled out of bed and put on a shirt, her nips prominently showing through the thin fabric. She breasted boobily down the stairs and titted downwards. There is a very faint but notable correlating aspect of these descriptors. Can you tell me what that is? Mysterious question for the audience. Let me down in comments.
Men writing women characters. She was beautiful but didn't know it. She was 5'7" and 101 pounds. Her feet were size 3. Her hat size was infant. She had never thrown up, even once. Her periods lasted 45 minutes. Her top was see-through.
It's always like that, isn't it? What's with the transparent clothes? How often do you see someone walking around in transparent clothes?
No one. Male authors. I will sit in the hotel room, he said, and watch my...
Wait, it's the same one! She has boobs that smile!
This one has really made the rounds. I wonder how that, like... Do you see a face on, like, the abdomen? Is that what you mean by smiling? Or is it like, you know, the boobs are like dog's tails, and they wag when they see you because they're happy. Her boobs were like dog's tails. They wagged when they saw me because she was so happy to see a real man. Things women in literature has died from. Cold hands, beautiful face, missing slippers, wrist fever, night brain, going outside at night in Italy. Ooh, not Italy. Shawl inefficiencies, too many pillows, garden troubles. Someone said no very loudly while they were in the room.
No. Ah! And I die.
Pony exhaustion. Wait, what? What does that mean? Strolling congestion. Sherry served too cold. Ship infidelity. Spent more than a month in London after growing up in Yorkshire. I can relate. Yeah, that seems relatable though, yeah. Clergyman's dropsy. Flirting headaches.
Wink.
Oh, migraine. River unhappiness. General bummers.
Oh man, I'm so bummed it's rainy today. Literally dice.
Knitting needles too heavy. What, you like pick up a couple of needles and your whole like structural integrity of your bones is... That is horrifying. How did the male character die? Ah, he had all his limbs cut off, burned to death. How did the women die?
She had the big sad. Oh, it was so sad.
Well, laddies, lasses, and lasses, I do hope you enjoyed this beautiful video as much as I enjoyed having you here today. You wonderful being, and I will see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.